What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can get the Galaxy Crossfade skin completely for free by competing in the 4th Galaxy Cup. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give a like, subscribe if you like some more, and comment down below if you're going to try to get this skin. And stay tuned for the entire video because I do have a super easy strategy that I think anybody will be able to implement pretty much regardless of skill level to be able to get this skin. So this event takes place on the 29th for mobile only, and then the 30th of July for all platforms. You should go over into the compete tab, make sure your tournament region in the bottom right is the region that you're going to be playing in, and then check what time this event takes place for you because it'll vary depending on what region you're in. And typically for these skin cups, they aren't the most stacked events ever. Just having like good consistency or a few solid games can earn you the skin. I feel like a lot of players kind of like overdo it or overthink it, and they think they need like a bunch of 20 kill wins to get their skin, and then they just try to play like super aggro to frag out. And this is super risky, and they just end up dying early, and they end up getting far less points than they would have otherwise if they're not just like an insane player. With tournaments, I think it's pretty much best to just play for endgame as much as possible. Like, sure, you can get kills when you can, 100%. I'm not saying you never want to fight, but the deeper you make it in the game, the more potential you have to earn points in that game, whereas when you die, your earning potential for that game is over. So when you see things like capturing the vault or the island gives you 3 points each, sure, that 3 points is nice, but it isn't worth throwing over your entire game for 3 points, whereas if you make it deep into the game, you're going to get a lot more placement points. And then also when you get to endgame, typically, especially if it's like a populated lobby, there's a lot of easy kills running around. If you have decent positioning and decent utility endgame, it's very easy to mop up a bunch of kills on players who aren't in the right place or who, you know, just don't have that utility. Since it is a solo zero build tournament, I think it'll be very ratty, and this is another reason why I think you just want to play for endgame as much as possible, because there's likely going to be people hiding everywhere and just waiting to third party. So be very careful when looting houses. If you're like looting mid game, be very careful walking around the map. Pretty much any bush might have somebody hiding in it, because that's just the nature of solo tournaments in general, but especially zero build solo tournaments. And if you are someone who's wanted zero build ranked to have a solo option, play this tournament, and I think a lot of you will see why there probably isn't one. As far as your loadout goes, I think you're going to want to carry 2 guns max. With this being solos, you don't really have inventory space to share with a teammate, so you'll need those other 3 slots for utility and heals. You 100% want to carry bunkers. If you get bunkers, this is huge. This is very important for endgame, and this is why I was saying, like, when you make it in-game, if you have bunkers, you're going to have a huge advantage over the other people, and the strategy I have at the end of the video will help you kind of conserve your bunkers as much as possible. For your 2 guns, I think you're going to want your choice of shotgun, and then probably an MK Alpha. The pistol, the Mammoth pistol, can be very good, but as far as like sustained fire for in-game, I would just rather have the MK personally. Sure, that one shot is nice, you might get a kill, but like if you tag somebody and you don't quite get enough damage, that kill is probably just going to get stolen from you in-game. So I'd rather have the MK, and then your choice of shotgun. You can use a drum if you like that, the pump. It's really up to you what you want to use. If you don't feel comfortable at all comboing pump and MK, then the drum is a solid choice, but if you're fine doing pump MK, then that's good too. If you get shockwaves, they're nice to have, but I think you definitely want heals as well. So you can really go like 2 guns, shockwaves, bunker, and heals, or you can go 2 guns, bunkers, and double heals. People kind of don't rate shockwaves as much in comp sometimes, but I still think they're very good, especially if zone goes up a mountain, you end up in a bad spot, somebody has a power position in a bunker, you can kind of shockwave yourself up and then shockwave them out. There's a lot of things that can be done with shockwaves, but I do think bunkers take priority for competitive. So if you only have the choice to carry one, I would rather carry bunkers. But if you don't find bunkers for whatever reason, then shockwaves will be nice as well. With how tournaments work in Fortnite, you kind of get matched based on how many points you have. So if you have a lot of points, you're going to get matched versus other players who have a lot of points. If you have a little bit of points, you're going to get matched versus players who have a little bit of points. And this is important because typically the more points people have, the harder the games are going to be, and you only have a certain amount of games to play in the time duration. So if you have an incredible game 1, like let's just say you pop off, you get a decent amount of kills and you win the game, it might be advantageous for you to wait like 10 to 15 minutes, not an absurd amount of time because these cups don't have the most time, but if you wait a little bit of time for like some of the lower scoring to mid scoring players to kind of catch up, you're probably going to be in an easier lobby than if you just readied up right away after having that pop off game. And then you don't end up wasting games in really stacked lobbies. I don't know how stacked this is going to get, but for like some of the cash cups, that's something to consider. And then also sometimes with cash cups, people just start late. They might start 10 to 15, 20 minutes late after a lot of players have played a game already. That way they get an easy first lobby without expending games. So that is something to keep in mind if that's something you want to do, or you could just play it all out like normal. But I do think if you have an incredible first game and you kind of know you overperformed in that game, it might be worth waiting 10 to 15 minutes or so. Or if you're having a really hard time, you die off spawn 2 games in a row, give it a short break. Not only is this going to like regain your mental and you're not just going to keep wasting more games spawn dying, but also you might get up into like some easier lobbies as a result of letting other people catch up. So if you're not a confident fighter, just playing for like placement and dead side rotates can be a viable strategy in these cups. And this is going to be the super easy strategy that I was saying anybody can implement pretty much regardless of skill level. So Cammy and Yapko recently won a $2 million Fortnite LAN tournament using the medic NPC and playing storm rotates with a car. And this was a very, very stacked tournament. Cammy and Yapko are great players. But this shows that this can even work in a very competitive environment, so I feel like the Skin Cup, this definitely can work. The healer NPCs can be found at Frenzy Farm in the Big Barn or Slappy Shores, and they will splash you twice every 20 seconds or so if you aren't full HP. And they cost 250 gold to hire. That is kind of the sticking point, but you can get 200 of this gold from capturing the flag, and then the other 50 or so you should be able to get from like just looting or eliminations from clearing the area. And the reason why this is so broken is because the storm is a 1 tick until 6th zone. So you will stay at pretty much full HP without ever having to use your own heals if you have this NPC, meaning you can rotate deep into the storm with a car, avoid fighting entirely up until 6th zone. By then, a lot of the lobby is going to be dead. You're going to have a lot of placement in that game, and the other players have had to use utility, and they've had to use heals, they've had to use ammo, all in this time where you've just been hanging out in storm getting healed by an NPC. I'll have some clips on screen of me doing this, but it's very simple. You just buy the NPC, you exist in a car, they'll splash the car and heal both you and the NPC at the same time, so you don't have to worry about your NPC dying, and it's just very broken. You can just hang out in storm. Even in 6th zone, it being a 2 tick, my NPC was healing me. At that point, storm sickness is going to be something you might need to be concerned about if you've been in the storm for that long, but this just allows you to not take part in the game up until 6th zone. And then when 6th zone happens, or like when you get into like half and half zone, you can just kind of position yourself wherever you want to be in that zone because you're coming from the storm. You can go right to that great edge that's about to open up. When like we have the moving zone where half is in, half is out, and then the half that is out kind of becomes safe over time. You can position yourself right there, all the while you've just been getting healed by your NPC the entire time. You have your utility, you have your ammo, you have your heals. Everybody else has been kind of shambles. And even if you don't do anything in the end game, you've probably gotten a decent amount of placement points for that game. And this is a very, very easy strategy to implement. If you're able to clear Frenzy and clear Slappy, that is kind of the one sticking point with this. If you're not a confident fighter, that might be hard to do. But oftentimes with these tournaments, you have people kind of like overthinking their drop spot because they're like, okay, it's a tournament, I want to play it safe, I'm going to land somewhere low key. And then you end up with a lot of those like typically less populated low key spots being overly populated because everybody's playing it safe. So Frenzy and Slappy might not be as contested as you would think, but they also might be pretty contested because some people know about this because Cammy and Yapko has won that tournament kind of using this strategy. But that is, I think, your best bet if you do not think you're good at the game. Like if you know you're not a confident fighter, but you still want a chance at getting the skin, I think go for Frenzy or go for Slappy. Play Storm with the NPC. Even if you don't do anything other than exist in Storm with the NPC, you're going to get a lot of placement points and that could boost you up high enough to being able to earn the skin. Also, if you wanted to try to play on one of the less populated regions like Oceania, Middle East, or Asia, this could be a decent strat because playing on high ping wouldn't really affect this at all. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative, interesting. Like I said earlier, if you're someone who's wanted solo 0 build ranked, play this and let me know what you think after this tournament takes place in tomorrow's video or Monday's video. I'd be interested to see your thoughts on that. But yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful, interesting, informative. I think the Galactic Crossfade is really good. The skin is really, really good. I think it's one of the best like Skin Cup skins we've had in a while. But I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.